networking event was winding down. Isabelle stood near the tall windows on the third floor of a gallery in the South End, half listening to a conversation about content strategy. Holding a glass of wine she hadn't finished. She'd been here for 90 minutes. She'd met 4 people whose names she'd already forgotten. She was ready to leave. And then she saw him! Not in a movie way. Not love at first sight. Just aware. He was standing near the bar talking to someone from the tech panel. Mid-30s, clean-cut, button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled. He laughed at something the other guy said, and it looked genuine. Easy. He glanced over, made eye contact, just for a second. She looked away. 2 minutes later, he was standing next to her.
Hi, I'm Adam.
His voice was warm, not pushy, like he had all the time in the world.
Isabelle.
Are you with the marketing group or the tech side?
Marketing, well, publicity. Same difference at these things.
Right? Everyone's a strategist until the bill comes.
She smiled. It was a good line. Not rehearsed. Just easy. They talked about work, about the event, about the fact that neither of them really wanted to be there, but both felt like they should. He was a marketing consultant, freelance. He asked good questions. He listened when she answered. He didn't check his phone once. And then, about 5 minutes in, he said it.
You seem different from everyone here.
The words landed softly, like a compliment. Like he'd noticed something special about her that no one else had.
Different how?
I don't know. Real. Most people here are performing. You're not.
She felt something warm spread in her chest. Not just flattery, recognition. Like he'd seen something in her that she'd been trying to show but didn't think anyone noticed. And underneath that warmth, something else. Small, quiet, a flash of discomfort. It was a weird thing to say to someone you'd known for 5 minutes, wasn't it? She pushed the thought away. It sounded rude, cynical. He was being nice.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
What's the thing you never tell people about yourself?
The question hung in the air. Isabelle blinked. Her mind went blank for a second. Then it filled with answers. Too many answers. Things she didn't tell people. Things she kept private. Things that took months to share, not minutes.
That's kind of a big question for a networking event.
I know, but I feel like small talk is such a waste. We spend all this time pretending to care about weather and traffic. I'd rather know something real.
He said it like it made sense, like it was brave, like they were in on something together. And Isabelle heard herself answer.
I guess, I don't know. I think I'm harder on myself than anyone else is. I set these expectations and then I never meet them and I spiral.
The words came out before she decided to say them. And the moment they were out, she felt exposed, naked. She'd known this man for 7 minutes. But he nodded, like she just told him the most normal thing in the world.
I get that. I do the same thing. It's like you're carrying this invisible scoreboard, and you're the only one who sees it.
She exhaled. He got it. He understood. Did he? She just met him. How could he possibly know if he got it or not? But the way he said it, the way he looked at her, it felt real.
I feel like I've known you forever.
The sentence dropped between them, soft, almost throwaway. Isabelle felt her pulse quicken. Not in a good way. In a way that made her chest tighten. That was a weird thing to say. That was definitely a weird thing to say. They'd been talking for 10 minutes. Maybe 12. He didn't know her. He didn't know anything about her except that she worked in publicity and spiraled when she didn't meet her own expectations. But he was smiling, warm, open, like he just said the most natural thing in the world. So she smiled back.
That's a nice thing to say.
Even as she said it, she felt the wrongness of it. Nice wasn't the word. Strange was the word. Too much was the word. But saying that felt rude. Paranoid. Like she was rejecting kindness.
You're the most interesting person I've met in months.
Another sentence. Another compliment. Another thing that should have felt good. And it did. For half a second. Then, the tightness in her chest came back. He didn't know her. How could she be the most interesting person he'd met? What was he basing that on? A 10-minute conversation at a networking event where she told him one vulnerable thing and he'd mirrored it back? She wanted to ask. She wanted to say, "How do you know that? You don't even know me." But the words felt mean, defensive, like she was punishing him for being interested.
Thanks, that's really kind.
She finished her wine, looked at her watch.
I should probably head out. Early morning tomorrow.
Of course. Can I get your number? I'd love to grab coffee sometime. Continue this.
Continue this. Like, they'd started something like 10 minutes of conversation was the beginning of something worth continuing. She gave him her number. Because why wouldn't she? He seemed nice. He seemed interested. And she'd been out of the game for 6 months. Maybe she was just rusty. Maybe this was how people connected now. Fast, intense, immediate. She walked to her car in the parking garage, sat in the driver's seat, stared at the dashboard. The feeling in her chest hadn't gone away. If anything, it had gotten heavier. She pulled out her phone, opened a text thread with her friend Mia.
Met someone tonight. Can't tell if it was good or weird.
Mia responded in 30 seconds. Good weird or bad weird?
I don't know, he said all the right things, but it felt fast.
Fast how?
He asked me what I never tell people about myself, like within 5 minutes of meeting me.
Typing bubble. Then that's intense. But also kind of romantic. Like he wanted to know the real you.
Maybe. I guess.
Did he seem genuine?
Yeah. That's the thing. He seemed really genuine.
Then maybe you're just overthinking it. You've been out of the game for a while. Give it a shot. Isabelle stared at the text. Maybe Mia was right. Maybe she was overthinking. Maybe this was just what dating felt like now and she'd forgotten. She drove home. Small apartment in Somerville. 1 bedroom, plants everywhere. A couch she'd reupholstered herself. She made tea, sat on the couch, opened her laptop. She typed the 4 sentences into a blank document. You seem different from everyone here. What's the thing you never tell people about yourself? I feel like I've known you forever. You're the most interesting person I've met in months. She stared at them. Individually, they sounded nice, complimentary, the kind of thing you'd want to hear from someone you were interested in. But together, written out like this, they felt off, like a script. She closed the laptop, went to bed, told herself she was being paranoid. Adam texted her the next morning. "Hey Isabelle, I know this is forward, but I can't stop thinking about our conversation last night. Coffee this week?" She read it 3 times. Can't stop thinking about our conversation. After 10 minutes, she typed a response, deleted it, typed another.
Sure, Thursday work?
His response came immediately. "Perfect. I'll find a place. Can't wait. Can't wait." She put her phone down, stared at the ceiling. What was wrong with her? Why was she dissecting every word? He was being enthusiastic. That was a good thing. She should be excited. But she wasn't excited. She was bracing. Thursday. A coffee shop in Cambridge. Small brick walls, mismatched chairs. Adam was already there when she walked in. He stood up, smiled. That same warm, open smile.
Hey, you look great.
Thanks. Sorry I'm a couple minutes late.
Don't apologize. I'm just glad you're here.
They ordered coffee and sat by the window. And for the first 20 minutes, it was nice, easy. He asked about her work. She asked about his. They talked about the city, about restaurants, about a documentary they'd both seen. And then gradually, the conversation shifted.
So tell me, what's your story? Like, really? Who is Isabelle when no one's watching?
The question felt big. Too big for a first coffee date, but he was looking at her with such focus. Like, he genuinely wanted to know. Like, her answer mattered.
I don't know. I guess I'm still figuring that out. I got out of a long relationship 6 months ago, and I'm kind of in this weird in-between phase.
What ended it?
The question was direct, intimate. The kind of thing you ask someone you'd known for months, not hours.
It just ran its course. We grew apart.
Do you miss it?
Sometimes. Not the relationship. Just knowing who I was in it.
I get that. I really do. I think the hardest part of being single is not having that person who just gets you. You know?
He said it like they were sharing something, like they were both in the same place. But Isabelle felt something cold move through her chest. He just met her. How did he know what the hardest part of being single was for her? How did he know she wanted someone who got her? She hadn't said that. She'd said she missed knowing who she was. That wasn't the same thing. But he was still looking at her, warm, open, waiting.
Yeah, I guess.
I feel like we're really connecting here. Don't you?
The question wasn't a question. It was a statement, wrapped in question form. And Isabelle felt herself nodding. Because what else was she supposed to do? Say no? Say, actually, I feel like you're moving really fast, and I'm not sure why. That would sound cold. Rejecting. It's mean.
Yeah, it's nice.
They talked for another hour. By the end, Adam had asked if they could do this again. Soon, maybe dinner. Isabelle said yes, because she didn't have a good reason to say no. She walked to her car, sat in the driver's seat, pulled out her phone. She opened the text thread with Mia.
Just finished coffee with Adam.
And how was it?
Good, I think. He's really interested.
That's amazing. See? You were overthinking.
Maybe.
She put her phone down, stared at the steering wheel. Why didn't it feel amazing? Why did it feel like she'd just been interviewed? She drove home, made dinner, pasta with olive oil and garlic, sat on the couch with the bowl in her lap. Her phone buzzed. A text from Adam. I had the best time today. I feel like I can be myself around you. That's rare. She stared at the text. He felt like he could be himself around her. After one coffee date, she typed a response.
Me too. Thanks for today.
She sent it, then immediately regretted it, because it wasn't true. She didn't feel like she could be herself around him. She felt like she was managing him, navigating him, trying to figure out what he wanted her to say. A week passed. Adam texted her every day. Good morning. How's your day going? Thinking about you. She didn't know what to do with that. They'd had one date, one coffee, and he was thinking about her. Mia said it was sweet. Her coworker said it was romantic. Everyone seemed to think she'd hit the jackpot. So why did she feel like she was drowning? Tuesday morning, 7:15. Her phone buzzed. Good morning. Hope you have an amazing day. Can't wait to see you again. She stared at the text. Can't wait. They hadn't even scheduled a second date yet. She typed back.
Thanks, you too.
3 dots appeared immediately. He was waiting, ready to respond the second she replied. You're incredible. I mean that. She put the phone down, went to make coffee, came back, picked it up again. You're incredible. Based on what? One conversation about her job and one vulnerable admission about spiraling? She wanted to ask, but asking felt rude, like she was rejecting kindness, like she was being difficult. Wednesday, another text. Saw a book today that made me think of you, The Art of Asking. Have you read it? She hadn't mentioned books. She hadn't mentioned art. She'd mentioned publicity work and self-doubt. She typed back.
I haven't. What made you think of me?
The response came in seconds. I don't know. Just the way you talk about your work. Like you care so much about getting it right. I thought you'd appreciate it. It sounded thoughtful, personal, like he'd been paying attention. But he'd known her for 1 hour. The total. How could he possibly know what she'd appreciate? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every morning, every evening. Check-ins, compliments, questions that felt intimate but weren't actually about anything specific. Mia thought it was romantic, but Isabelle felt like she was being tracked, monitored, like he was waiting for her to respond so he'd know she was still engaged, still interested, still his. Except she wasn't his. They'd had one date. 2 weeks later, she saw Adam again at another networking event. Different venue, same crowd. He was talking to a woman near the bar. Mid-20s, blonde, laughing at something he'd said. Isabelle watched from across the room. Adam leaned in, made eye contact. That same intense, focused eye contact he'd made with Isabelle. And then she heard it.
You seem different from everyone here.
The woman smiled, flattered, surprised. Like no one had ever said that to her before. Isabelle felt her stomach drop. She walked closer. Not intentionally. Just drifting. Close enough to hear.
Can I ask you something? What's the thing you never tell people about yourself?
The woman laughed, nervous, flattered. The same laugh Isabelle had made 2 weeks ago. Isabelle turned, walked to the bathroom, locked the door, leaned against the sink. hands were shaking. He was saying the same things. The exact same things. Word for word. It wasn't connection. It was a script. A performance. A routine he ran on every woman he met. She pulled out her phone. Opened a notes app. To type the 4 sentences again. You seem different from everyone here. What's the thing you never tell people about yourself? I feel like I've known you forever. You're the most interesting person I've met in months. She stared at them. They weren't compliments. They were tests. Tools, ways to create intimacy that didn't exist. Ways to make someone feel special so they'd let their guard down. She closed the app, left the bathroom, walked past Adam and the blonde woman, out the door, to her car. She sat in the driver's seat and cried, not because she'd lost something, because she'd almost fallen for something. And the only reason she hadn't was because she'd seen him do it to someone else. She made an appointment the next week. Dr. Harlow, a therapist in Cambridge. Small office, wooden shelves, a window overlooking the street. Isabelle sat in the chair and folded her hands in her lap.
What brings you in today?
I met someone, and I think he was, I don't know, manipulating me, but I'm not sure. Because he didn't do anything wrong, he was just really interested really fast. And I don't know if that's a red flag or if I'm just being paranoid because I've been out of dating for a while.
Tell me about him.
His name is Adam. I met him at a networking event. We talked for maybe 10 minutes. And in that 10 minutes, he said 4 things that felt off, but also flattering, and I couldn't tell which one it was.
What were the 4 things?
Isabelle pulled out her phone. Read from the notes app.
You seem different from everyone here. What's the thing you never tell people about yourself? I feel like I've known you forever. You're the most interesting person I've met in months. And how did you feel when he said those things?
At first, special. Seen. Like he'd noticed something about me that other people didn't, but also uncomfortable. Like it was too much, too fast. And I didn't know if that discomfort was valid or if I was just being closed off.
Tell me about that discomfort. Where did you feel it?
In my chest, like a tightness. Like I couldn't take a full breath, and in my stomach. Like something was wrong, but I couldn't name what.
And what did you tell yourself about that feeling?
That I was overthinking. That I'd been single for 6 months and I'd forgotten how to let people in. That I was being paranoid. Closed off. Too skeptical.
Who told you that?
My friend Mia. My coworker. Everyone I talked to about it, they all said he sounded great. That I should give it a chance. But your body was telling you something different.
Yeah, but I didn't trust it. I thought everyone else knew better than I did.
What changed?
I saw him at another event, saying the same things. To another woman. Word for word.
Dr. Harlow nodded slowly.
What did you feel in your body when you heard him say those things to someone else?
My stomach dropped, my hands started shaking. I felt stupid. Like I'd fallen for something obvious.
Not stupid. Human. Can I ask you something?
Sure. When he asked you that question, what's the thing you never tell people about yourself? How long had you known him?
5 minutes. Maybe less?
And when you answered, what did you share?
Something real. Something I don't usually tell people. About how I spiral when I don't meet my own expectations. And what did he share back?
Isabelle paused, thought back, tried to remember if Adam had shared anything real about himself.
He said he did the same thing, but he didn't actually say anything specific. He just mirrored what I said.
So you gave him something vulnerable, and he gave you a reflection, not a truth, a mirror.
Yeah, I guess so.
And did that question make you feel seen or scanned?
Isabelle opened her mouth, closed it. The word landed in her chest like a stone.
Scanned.
That feeling in your chest. That tightness. That was your body trying to tell you something. It was saying, this person is asking for access they haven't earned. This intimacy is artificial. This isn't safe.
But everyone said I was overthinking.
Because they couldn't feel what you were feeling. They only heard the words, and the words sounded nice, romantic. But you felt the subtext, the agenda underneath. Your body knew before your mind did.
Jung wrote about something he called the projection trap. When we meet someone new, we don't see them as they are. We see them through the lens of our own unconscious ideals. Our anima, or animus, the perfect partner we've been imagining. And when someone seems to fit that ideal, we stop seeing them clearly. We see what we want to see.
Isabelle nodded. She'd felt that. That feeling of, this is it. This is the connection I've been waiting for.
Manipulators know this. They know that if they can mirror your ideal back to you, you'll let them in. Fast. Without the normal boundaries you'd have with a stranger. And the way they do that is by asking questions that feel intimate. Personal. Like they're trying to know the real you. But what they're actually doing is mining for information. What are you insecure about? What do you want to hear? What will make you feel special?
So, those 4 sentences
were tools, not compliments. Each one served a purpose. You seem different from everyone here. That's isolation. It separates you from the group. Makes you feel special, chosen. But it also implies you're not like them. You're better. And that creates a bond between you and him against everyone else.
I did feel that, like we were in on something together.
What's the thing you never tell people about yourself? That's vulnerability mining. He's asking you to share something intimate before he's earned the right to know it. And when you answer, you feel exposed, but also seen. And now you've created a false sense of intimacy, because you've shared something real with someone who hasn't shared anything real back.
Isabelle felt her throat tighten. She'd answered that question. She'd told him about her spiraling, and he'd said he did the same thing, but had he just mirrored her answer back?
I feel like I've known you forever. That's acceleration. It creates the feeling of a deep connection without the actual time or history that a deep connection requires. And it makes you feel like if you don't feel the same way, you're being cold, rejecting. So you agree, even if you don't actually feel it.
I did agree. I said it was nice, even though I didn't really feel it.
Why didn't you say what you actually felt? Because it felt mean, rude, like I was rejecting him for being vulnerable.
But he wasn't being vulnerable. He was being strategic. There's a difference.
Isabelle looked down at her hands.
How do I tell the difference?
Vulnerability is reciprocal. It unfolds gradually. Both people share. Both people risk something. But what Adam did wasn't reciprocal. He asked you to be vulnerable. He gave you compliments that felt intimate, but weren't actually revealing anything about him. He created the illusion of closeness without the substance.
So when he said, I feel like I've known you forever, he was testing to see if you'd agree. If you'd mirror the intensity back to him. And when you did, when you said, that's nice, he knew you were someone who would adjust your feelings to match his. Someone who would prioritize his comfort over your own truth.
Isabelle felt her chest tighten again. Not the same way it had tightened with Adam. This was different. This was the tightness of seeing something you'd been avoiding.
I did that. I adjusted. I said what I thought he wanted to hear.
And that's not your fault. That's what we're conditioned to do. Especially as women. Be nice. Be agreeable. Don't make it awkward. But manipulators rely on that conditioning. They know that if they push just a little too far, most people will adjust rather than confront.
And the last sentence? You're the most interesting person I've met in months?
That's love bombing. It's overwhelming you with affection and attention to create a sense of indebtedness. He's given you this huge compliment. Now you owe him something. Your time, your attention, your openness. It creates an imbalance. You feel like you have to live up to this image he's created of you, the most interesting person. And if you don't respond with the same level of enthusiasm, you're letting him down.
I did feel that. Like I owed him something. Like I had to match his energy.
And that's exactly the point. None of these sentences are about connection. They're about control. Creating a dynamic where he's giving and you're receiving, so you feel obligated. Where he's certain and you're questioning yourself. Where he's moving fast and you're trying to keep up.
Isabelle sat very still. Her hands were still folded in her lap, tighter now.
So, none of it was real.
None of it was about you. It was about him. About what he could get from you. The validation, the attention, the feeling of being desired. You were a source, not a person.
But why? What does he get out of it?
Supply. Narcissists need external validation to feel real. They don't have a stable sense of self. So they create these intense connections, not because they care about the other person, but because the other person's attention makes them feel powerful, desired, in control. And the faster they can create that connection, the more powerful they feel.
So he's doing this with everyone?
Probably. That's why you saw him using the same script. It's not personal, it's a pattern, a routine. He's learned what works, what makes people feel special, and he uses it over and over because it gets him what he needs.
Isabelle felt something crack open in her chest. Not relief, not yet. Something harder. The painful clarity that comes when you realize your instincts were right all along.
I felt it. That discomfort from the beginning. But I talked myself out of it. I thought I was being paranoid. Closed off. Too skeptical.
Your body knew. Your intuition knew. But you didn't have the vocabulary to name what you were feeling. Now you do.
What if I see him again?
Then you'll see him clearly. Not through the lens of flattery or projection. You'll see the script, the tools, the performance, and you'll be able to choose differently.
Isabelle exhaled. Long and slow. Like she'd been holding her breath for weeks. She didn't see Adam again. Not in person. He texted her once more. Hey, I feel like we lost touch. Coffee soon? She stared at the text for a long time. Then she typed a response.
I don't think we're a good fit. Take care.
She sent it, blocked his number, deleted the thread, and for the first time in a month, the tightness in her chest was gone. 3 months later, Isabelle was at a coffee shop with a friend, Sarah, mid-20s, just starting to date again after a breakup. Sarah was telling her about a guy she'd met, a networking event. He seemed amazing, so interested, so attentive. He told me on the first date he feels like he's known me forever. Isn't that sweet? Isabelle set her coffee down.
How long had you known him when he said that?
Sarah blinked. Like 10 minutes? Why?
Can I tell you about 4 sentences?
Sarah leaned in. Isabelle pulled out her phone, opened the Notes app, read the 4 sentences out loud. And as she read them, she watched Sarah's face change. Confusion, recognition, horror. Oh my God. He said all of those. He said every single one.
I know, they all do. It's a script. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Sarah sat back in her chair, stared at her coffee. A so weak row that is of romantic that plo that might see that is was 7 the lao Bracco Bacca, and not Mamis, that de gachable, that, stole whore he buddy for that malices. That is double keyed bass, not as.
That's what they want you to think. That's the whole point.
Sarah looked at her. How did you figure it out?
I trusted the discomfort, the feeling that something was off. Even when everyone told me I was overthinking, even when he seemed perfect, I trusted that my gut knew something my brain didn't.
Sarah nodded slowly, like something heavy was settling into place. Thank you? Seriously? Thank you. Isabelle smiled. A real smile. Not the polite one she'd given Adam.
Trust the discomfort. It's trying to tell you something.
They finished their coffee, walked out into the afternoon light, and Isabelle felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Solid ground beneath her feet. The kind you only find when you stop doubting your own instincts. When you stop asking for permission to trust what your body already knows. When you remember that the tightness in your chest isn't paranoia. It's protection. And it's been there all along.